Hi there, it's Melinda with you today, and I am sharing this is my first April share for Scrapping Clearly. As you can see, I have already started on a design. I'm using the Kaiser Craft Ooh La La collection today, and I've cut some 2-inch strips off some of the pattern papers, and then I've cut each of those in half. I saved you the hassle of seeing all that. This stack here, I have already laid them out how I want them, so I'm just going to take some time and stick them all down now. And I'm not 100% certain of where I'm going to go with this page, but I guess playing with it and I will come up with something. So I'm going to pop you on fast forward and walk you through my process. So I'm back with you again. I'm sorry for the mum at the end. My little guy came in as I was finishing off that little bit of a voiceover and was like, "Who are you talking to, mum? Mum. Anyway, so as you can see, I am sticking down all my little triangles. I did use my T-square ruler because I did want it to be straight. I do save you the torture of watching me stick every single triangle down. I've cut out all of it except for this little bit here. So you can see I'm just fixing the last couple down, just using my ATG to stick that down. I'm going to trim off the bottom edge, and then I decide that I am not happy with it not being even. I didn't want to go back through and put more at the top, so I end up trimming some off the top, and then I decided, okay, I'm gonna make this square and I'm gonna mount it on something. First up, it was not an even number for me to work out how much to take off the other two sides, so I made it 11 inches tall, and then I'm just going to chop off ½ an inch off each side. Now I've only used a little bit of adhesive on each of those triangles because I knew I wanted to do something with my sewing machine. So I've now trimmed that down. It's 11-inch square, and I knew I wanted to mount it on something, and I play with lots of the different papers. I play with cardstock from my stash, and it takes me a little while to decide. I really love this, but I felt that it was quite traditional, like, you know, with the quilts, which is where my inspiration came from. But I don't, my style is not traditional like that, so I wanted to modernize it up a little bit. So I decided to go with that light blue and add a bit of mixed media. So what I've decided to do there is to mount the square inside that blue with the floral coming up over the top. This is, it's a strange photo that I am scrapbooking. It's a photo of our front doormat. When we first moved into our home that we live in now, my sister and her partner bought us a welcome mat, and it lasted for many years. We've been in this house, it will be 9 years in September, and last September, funnily enough, we didn't even realise at the time, we made a trip up to IKEA. Our rug had been falling apart, so we replaced it. I did decide to add a bit of gold, and I've gone through each of those chevrons and stitched along the top and the bottom. And here I come in with my mixed media. So a quick coat of white gesso. I did want to tone down some of that pattern because it's kind of bold, especially with that chevron pattern. So I've just grabbed a paintbrush and I've just put it on the page and smudged it around with my finger so that the edges weren't brush edges. It's a technical term. Now I wasn't 100% certain what I was going to use. Pulled out my picture of the mood board, and Kylie sent me some art anthology spray in avocado. It's beautiful green colour, and also some liquid pearls in cantaloupe, which are a perfect match to that orangey colour that's in the mood board. I decided to give it a go. I added a tiny bit to some packaging. I've added some water, and I'm just dissolving that colour into the water, and it comes out this beautiful orangey goldy, it's a beautiful colour. I'm so impressed. I had a little bit too much on that bit of packaging to flip it over and smush it, so I grabbed a second piece of packaging. I'm going in and smushing it around. Decide the colour's not as intense as I was looking for, so I just grabbed the paintbrush and some leftover colour and just go around. You probably noticed a little bit ago I had done a pencil outline around where my photo and that floral corner was going, and so I've just sort of gone around there. I wanted to do some splatters, so I've added a bit more of the colour, mixed it up again, and just added some splatters. Realised at the last minute that my photos face up right next to my layout, and I am hopeless at getting stuff on my photos. So I decided I wanted to add a little bit of that green because there is some green in the mood board. The colour was a bit too intense for what I wanted, so I do grab a paper towel, there you go, and just blotch up the boldness of that colour, and it just leaves a really subtle few green coloured splatters. So I'm just working out what I'm going to put behind my photo. I start with a little doily, and then I decide that I want some sort of something behind my photo. My first thought, I think, yeah, is the gold tissue paper, and then I go, nah, too much. So then I thought about some white tissue paper, and I just kind of went, yeah, no, don't, I'm not loving that either. And then I thought, I know, I'll use some vellum. And when I jumped into my scrapbooks, I found this beautiful vellum from an older Maggie Holmes collection, which I tried out, decided I didn't like. And I go with some plain vellum, which I end up just tearing the four sides on, adhering the photo to, and calling it done. It's a very subtle layer, but before I get to that part, I do decide to stick down that corner because everything moving around is starting to drive me a bit crazy. I've just flipped my page over. I'm not sure if you noticed, I hand cut around using my my knife around that floral just so I could tuck everything into the corner. I've added some foam to the back of my photo layer, and I'm just adhering that down. In the process of all this, my ATG ran out and I had a bit of fun trying to refill it. Oh, it's funny. I started to stick the background down, realised it's not straight. I'm loving that I was able to pull this up without causing damage, which is a bit exciting. So my ATG is new and I'm still learning how it kind of works. So I stick down my background layer, I ruffle up the edges. I do a little bit of embellishing from here, but there's not heaps more that I add. I feel that the design's pretty full on already with that chevron in the background. I'm using these Prima Alphas that Kylie sent me, and my title, I knew as soon as I decided I was going to scrap this photo that the title was going to be quite corny, Home Sweet Home, but that's what I go with, and I use 3 different fonts and just put it in the top right hand corner of the photo there. I decided to go through the ephemera pack. The first thing I pulled out was a key. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so appropriate. It's my front door. That second round piece that I pulled out was This Is Where It All Begins or something. And I really like it, but I couldn't work out where I wanted it. That, to me, when I first saw it, was like a fancy front door, and I thought, oh, that's perfect. When else am I going to use a door picture? And then behind that, what I've cut in half is like a hinge. And I thought, oh, that's really cute. I'll add that as a bit of depth in colour on the left-hand side. There is a gap that you probably can't see all that well. When I put that key down, to me, it's really glaringly obvious between the flowers and the doily, kind of underneath behind there. So I want to add an extra layer. I find a little bluish, greenish coloured piece that I just stick behind there, and my eye's happy again. I do glue my key down there, and I add some florals. So I start with a doily, and then I find florals that match the floral in the paper. And so I pop those in there, move my layers around a little bit. Then I come across the big one. There we go. Really happy with how that looks. I was thinking of using 3 different butterflies. I wanted 3 blue, and I couldn't find 3 blue. I found 2 blue. So I found that little bird. He's so cute. And then I found another bird that was looking the other direction. So I thought, hey, I'll just add these little birds because they're cute. Now I'm just gluing everything down. I'm just using my Scotch Quick Dry. And at the very end, I add some splatters of Heidi Swap Colour Shine in Gold Lame. Add my journaling right around the border of the page. And it's basically what I said to you before about how my sister bought us a gnat and we finally replaced it. I'm going to come in. Oh, I stamp the date, and I do another roller stamp up the top. I think it says details, and I'm just using my walnut stain mini ink pad. And I'm going to give you a close up. There you go. And that's it. Here are the close-ups. Thank you ever so much for stopping by, and I will see you again soon. Bye!